everybody, my name is Megan White, this is S'more, and today we're going to go through a flow that includes half pigeon. I'll also show you how you can get into half pigeon. Half pigeon seems to be a pose that people aren't neutral about. They either like it and find it to be a nice stretch, or they really struggle with it, particularly if you have tight hips. So I'll give you some tips and tricks to get into it, and then I'll also show you how you can add it into a flow, which is a really fun way to just incorporate this pose instead of just holding it as a static pose at the beginning or the end of a class when most people usually have it. So for props today, if you have a yoga block, it's a great thing to help assist you with half pigeon. Also, a lot of people love to take a blanket, fold it in half. It can be really helpful in the pose as well. So whatever you want to use, if you don't have a yoga block, you know you can always use a book or something along that size. To get started today, let's start in butterfly pose. So right now you see I'm cross-legged and I'm going to come into butterfly. It means the soles of my feet are kind of touching. I usually rearrange myself a little bit so I can sit up nice and tall in this butterfly pose. And then I'm going to start to just hold on to my feet and walk myself down a little bit. So already in this pose, you can feel it getting into the hips a little bit. It's a nice way to warm it up. If you'd like a little bit of a deeper stretch, you can hold on to your toes and pull yourself forward for a little bit more. If that's not your deal today, no need to do that. You can just hang out right here. If you'd like to get into the feet a little bit more, even starting to open up the feet, almost like you're opening up a book. It's a really nice stretch. And we'll go ahead and come out of that and go into one more stretch while we're here on the mat in this position, and it's a wide-legged fold. I'm actually going to do wide-legged forward fold, so legs come out to whatever distance feels comfortable for you. And here we're gonna forward fold, and I feel this all on the inside of my thighs. So just releasing down. Head can come nicely to the ground if you want to give it a couple shakes. That's always good too. And then we'll come back up and I'll show you half pigeon on your back. So whenever a teacher calls half pigeon, if that's not a pose that works for you, this pose might be able to work for you and it'll give you a really nice stretch in the same way. So I'm gonna lay all the way down and I'm basically gonna make a figure 4 with my legs. So I'll start by using my left leg to show you guys. My right leg's gonna stay bent exactly as it is. My left ankle is gonna come to my right thigh. And then I'm going to, and this is how you can vary it depending on your flexibility. I can grasp my hands on my shin and let it go. I feel a really deep stretch here. This is a little more advanced. If you'd like a little less, you can, give yourself more space by putting your hands your hamstring. If you want a different stretch, you can straighten that leg, all different places. If none of this is accessible, that's absolutely fine. You can stretch here. So wherever you're starting to feel a little bit of a stretch, not a strain, that's where you want to work. And this is basically half pigeon on your back. So go ahead and do the other side. So I'm going to make my left foot come to the ground. Right ankle is going to come to left thigh. I'll go ahead and grasp my hands and come right back. And even here, if you want to roll the feet out, you can do it. Again, this is where you're going to find the deepest stretch when you grasp for the shin. All different ways to back off of this stretch too. So a lot of times teachers will call this pose the beginning of class, the end of class. If you're not feeling it, come right to your back and do just this and you'll get all those spots. I'm gonna go ahead and just stretch out, letting that all go. Give myself a nice little hug and we'll roll all the way up. And now we'll kind of go through the mechanics of half pigeon just so you can get into that stretch a little bit deeper. And I'll show you how you can use a block to do so as well. So keep your block nice and handy. This is how I always like to come into half pigeon. I start from downward facing dog. And then I'm gonna do my left leg first. I'm gonna reach my left leg up, sweep it under, and come through and this is half pigeon. Here's where the block or the blanket is handy. You just put it right under your booty, and if you have that gap in between yourself and the mat, it makes up the difference. If you don't have that gap, go ahead and come into the pose. So as you can see, my shin does not come parallel with the front of the mat. For a long time in yoga, they used to talk about moving your shin there. People's bodies don't necessarily go there. So just work with where you are and lower yourself down. Another thing about this pose, if you have space between here, it might be just a matter of that muscle loosening up. So I don't use a prop, even though I do have the space between my body and the mat, because I find that as I relax, I come down into it. I know everybody thinks that S'more is the star of the show, but I actually have a couple other rescues. This is Oreo, who's joining us right now. And S'more, not to be outdone, is here as well. So we're gonna come back through into down dog. Yes, that's right, S'more, we love it. Push back. And we're gonna do the opposite leg. Come all the way through. And relax down into half pigeon. I say this a lot, but one side is not going to be like the other side. So one side might really relax into half pigeon. The other one might be a struggle, and that's okay. Treat each side differently and just work on improving the flexibility on either side, not necessarily trying to even out. All right. And when you're ready, you can come all the way up. We're gonna push back into down dog. Walk all that out. Do one little stretch to release that. I'm gonna take my left hand and have it come over to my right foot. Do a nice little twist here in the down dog position. And then let that go. Same thing opposite way. So you can see it on this side, right hand to left foot. Maybe even looking through. And back down, walk out your dog. And as you're ready, walk all the way up to the front of your mat. And you can go ahead and roll up. Hands come up to the ceiling and back down to the side. So let's do a little flow. We'll open up our hips a little bit more, and then on the second flow, I'll show you how you can integrate half pigeon into your flow. So I'm gonna reach all the way up to the ceiling, come back down, halfway lift. Then my hands are gonna plant, and I'm gonna step back to plank position. Come forward just a little bit on my toes as I lower into chaturanga. Push up into down or up dog, and then push back into downward facing dog. Now I'm gonna lift up my right leg, bring it all the way through, and come into a nice runner's lunge with my knee down. So here in this pose, I can take a moment. See if you can adjust your hips a little bit more to a place that feels comfortable, and you can move back and forth. This adds some flexibility into those hips. And then as you're ready, we're gonna add a stretch into the hamstring. So I'm gonna frame my front foot and then push back into half splits. So this works in my body. If this does not work in your body, a lot of people can do a lot of work right here. So this front leg can even stay very bent at the knee, and you just slowly move the hamstrings. Some people like to come all the way down. All different versions of this. Half Hanuman, as it's called. We're gonna lower that front foot, untuck the back toes, come up into crescent lunge, back down, and then we're gonna bring our front foot back to meet the back as we lower into chaturanga, up dog, downward facing dog. Left leg is gonna come up. We sweep through. We're doing the same thing on the opposite side. So here I'm coming into that runner's lunge. Again, see if you can stretch out those hips. Blocks work great here too, if you can't make it all the way down to the mat. And then as you're ready, to whatever degree works in your body, we're stretching that hamstring. If you'd like a little bit more, you can walk the hands forward and bend down. And as you're ready, we're gonna come back through, sweep all the way up into crescent lunge. hands plant, front foot goes back to meet the back as you chaturanga, up dog, downward facing dog. Look up to the front of your mat, step or hop, halfway lift, forward fold, reach up, mountain pose. Let's do that one more time, just a little faster. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Hands plant, step, or some people like to hop here. As you lower down to chaturanga, inhale to up dog. Exhale to downward facing dog. Move that right leg up, sweep it through. Come all the way down to runner's lunge. Maybe hands come up and hips come forward. Hands plant, and we push back to half Hanuman. Nice stretch. Coming forward, bringing that back leg up. So we come up into crescent lunge. Hands plant, we flow. You can always push back to down dog if this doesn't work. And then left leg up, sweep it through. Back knee goes down as we sweep up. Come all the way back into half Hanuman. Can we feel the stretch? Oh yes, we can. And then come all the way back up, crescent lunge. Hands plant, front foot goes back to meet the back as we flow it out. Push back, look up, step or hop, halfway lift, forward fold, come all the way up, mountain pose. Now let's do this flow, but different with half pigeon. Reaching all the way up to the sky, forward fold, halfway lift, hands plant, step or hop back, chaturanga again, getting in those really good push-ups, so good for the chest, for the arms. Reach our right leg up. Now we're changing here. We're gonna sweep through into pigeon, half pigeon. So here, if you want the stretch here, work here. If you want to come down, come down. Whatever feels good for you. Plant the hands, foot goes back, chaturanga, up dog, down dog. Left leg up as we sweep it on through and come right into half pigeon. Again, here feels really good in my body. Down here feels really good in my body too. So whatever works. Hands plant, come back right into that plank. We lower, up dog, downward facing dog. Look to the top of your mat, bend your knees, come up to the front, halfway lift, forward fold, reach all the way up, mountain pose. Let's float out one more time, adding on. I'm gonna get a little back bend in there as I forward fold. Halfway lift, hands plant, step back, chaturanga, up dog, downward facing dog, right leg up, sweep it through, half pigeon. Let's stay up on this half pigeon. Really nice. Now adding on, come back, push back to down dog, leg sweeps back through as we come up into crescent lunge. We're gonna do a nice crescent twist, turning here, really deep stretch. Hands frame the front foot in runner's lunge, and then we step back, we flow, reach up, push back. Last one, left leg comes up nice and high. So we sweep through, come into that pigeon. Yogi's choice if you want to stay up or stay down. Hands plant, push back, push through, come all the way up into crescent, turn to the side, come back down, front foot goes back to meet the back as we chaturanga, up dog, downward facing dog. Look to your hands, jump up, halfway lift, forward fold, come all the way up, mountain pose. That was a really good flow, you guys. Let's go ahead and come all the way down to our mat so we can let all that go. We're gonna take our block actually and just use it right at our sacrum to do a really nice back bend, super passive. Just relax down. That was a lot for the hips. When we lay like this with the supported one, and if you don't have a block, you don't have to use it, but your blanket could go here too. Really opens up through the hips. Really, really nice. Give yourself a second. And then when you're ready, come on out of that. We'll do one last pose called fish pose. Rolling up, put that blanket down. Call this like beach relaxing pose because that's what it makes me think of. So I come down, my forearms are on the mat, feet are together. I'll move this block so you can see. Feet are together, pointed. And from here, I'm relaxing the head back, pushing the chest up. Great stretch all through the collarbones. And as you're ready, a nice way to come out of this is just come up onto the hands, roll all the way down through the back. Feet go wide, hands to the sky, relax down. Let that flow go. If you'd like to stay here in Shavasana, you're welcome to stay here as long as you'd like. If you've got to get going, give yourself one more hug. That was a nice sweaty flow. It was really, really fun and something different, and hopefully it challenged you. So we roll up. And that's the great thing about some of these poses that we always thought of as static poses. I don't think that yoga has to be that way. So there's great opportunities to hold poses for a long time, but there's also fun ways to integrate some of these poses into a fast, sweaty flow so that you get heart rate going a little bit and you get that really deep stretch that you crave. So I hope you had fun with today's flow, and I hope you have a beautiful day. Thank you so much for your time. Namaste.